I was originally diagnosed with a metastatic melanoma on my head. My doctor sent me to the general surgeon. He then did an MRI, and that picked up more melanomas in my body. It was scary when I was diagnosed, but I didn't want to show anybody I was nervous or scared. My husband and my children, they were quite distressed, thinking they were going to lose their mother, he's going to lose his wife. I had 6 weeks of full brain radiation. My hair fell out. Then I seemed to be fine for some time. And then in 2010, I had another lung come up and one in my bowel. So I've had 10 tumours in total. I had 2 in the breast, 2 in the one lung, 1 on my top of my arm, 1 on the side, 1 in the bowel, and 2 in the brain. So 10 tumours in total that were all surgically removed, and I was then tumour-free then from 2011. We've always been a close family. However, it's brought us closer, and we do a lot for our grandchildren. If I wasn't alive, I wouldn't be able to do that. So those are the kind of things which are really important to us. I'm still on medication for the rest of my life, but I'm alive and living a good life. Every day I wake up is a blessing.
I still feel to this day that this whole process kind of robbed me of was like the healthiest I had been in my life. I was enjoying life, going out, seeing friends and keeping active, and you hear so many of those like phrases about like your health being the most important thing, and that always just sounded really cheesy until all of this. And now I'm like, oh yeah, wow, your health really is like that important. I was 21, I was finishing off my undergraduate studies in psychology and was getting progressively kind of sicker and sicker for about a month. But then eventually it kind of got to this point where it was unavoidable, like I was coughing up blood, I couldn't kind of talk anymore, and couldn't even sort of stand up, and had to go into hospital. I had a lot of kind of internal bleeding and a lot of issues with my heart at that point. They estimated I probably would have died within about 6 to 12 hours if I hadn't got to hospital when I did. Very, very quickly was diagnosed with acute promyelolytic leukemia, and because of damage to my heart at the time, had to start on a pretty then kind of unconventional treatment combination based on some research papers, using a combination of arsenic and atra sort of just for 9 months. You know, I finished treatment and tried to get back on with my life, and yeah, it was kind of amazing to hear that it's gone from being this, what felt kind of like a Hail Mary out of, 2 foreign research papers, to now being the kind of gold standard for treating this. It's pretty incredible.
I was resting between sets and a strange feeling came over me from my feet upwards. I was running a tape in my head that said, what happens if you have a cardiac arrest down here? And I put my head back on my lane ropes, and that was it. It was all black. I woke up having been in a coma for 24 hours, the next day in hospital. I had a lot of events between when I had my cardiac event at the pool and getting to such a low ebb that there were times where I just had to stop and wait for my heart to come back to a normal rhythm. And this whole time, my wife Tony was having to live with someone who might die at any moment. So this was happening over a period of 10 to 11 years before a phone call came through from Fiona Stanley's to say, we've got a heart for you and you have to get to the hospital straight away. The concept of actually having a heart removed before another one is replacing it is quite an unusual thing to consider, that at some point, some moment, you have no heart, you're just on a machine to keep the circulation going. After my heart transplant, I remember lying in the recovery ward on my back and I could feel my heart thumping, and I thought, wow, this is amazing that it's working, and it feels like I put a V8 motor in a small car. And then I suddenly realised that it was my new heart. That it was real, I was there, and I'd survived. Since my transplant, I've spent a lot of time smelling the roses and enjoying what I do. But I also think about the scientists who are doing studies on all of the aspects of my heart, and I really appreciate all the trouble that people have gone to help me stay alive and enjoy my life. I'll be a supporter of hospital research forever, and I owe the researchers a debt.